Lesson 7.1 is exponential notation. The objective is to develop concepts related to exponential notation. So your first assignment will be to complete question number 1 on page 209. And for this, you need to take a look at which of these is true. Is 4 to the third equal to 12, or is 4 to the third equal to 64? So I know that 4 times 3 is 12, but that's not what this exponent means. Remember, 4 to the third means 4 times 4 times 4. So whenever we're working with exponents, we need to remember that this exponent means how many times the base is multiplied by itself. Okay, so let's take a look at some other problems with exponents. Okay, here are a couple of definitions that you'll need to know. Standard notation is the way numbers are usually written in everyday situations. They use place value in digits 0 through 9. And then there's commas to separate the periods, and the commas make the numbers easier to read. For exponential notation, it's a shorthand way to write repeated factor expressions. It has 2 parts. We just looked at those, the base and the exponent. The exponent is written just above and to the right of the base. So we've got our base and our exponent is just up to the right. And so in that example, 4 is the base and 3 is the exponent. And we just reviewed it means 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, we found out that that equaled 64. So if I were to write in standard notation, 64 is a good example of standard notation. It's just the way that we usually write numbers. All right, now let's take a look at some examples. In your math journal on page 209, you have a table. And you can see the first one is done as an example. They have 5 to the 4th. 5 is your base. The 4 is the exponent. So we know that means you take 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. You take it 4 times. That's what our exponent means. And so if I were to multiply 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, I would get 625 for my answer. And that's how we would write it in standard notation. Okay, so let's do an example together. We've got 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So this one's very similar to our last example. I know that my base is 6. And it appears 4 times. So as exponential notation, it would be 6 to the 4th. And then for standard notation, I would multiply 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. And whatever the answer to that would be is my standard notation. Okay, so you'll continue on to complete this table. Down here, you'll have to work backwards just a little bit to see if you can figure out how many 2's it takes to get up to 32.